It would help if I turned on my mic. Howdy, folks. What's up? S&E indicator. Yes, science and engineering indicators. Thank you, Brian Stevens. Big Zebra is here. Mr. Shadow Kitty, I think, was the first to say hello. So what's going on, guys? What's up? Sinister Porpoise is here. How you doing? Yes, Sinister Porpoise. Sinister says, public service announcement. Joe Rogan is not a public health expert. You should feel as comfortable taking vaccine advice from him as much as you should feel comfortable taking it from me. Fair enough. Fair enough. Appreciate it, Katie. Oh, yes. I'm in a thing with Creaky B sometime. I think, is that tomorrow? Oh, my goodness. I forgot. Creaky Blinder, is that who? Oh, man. Thank you so much for that reminder. Yes, I need to see the date. I forgot. The 30th. Yes, Creaky Blinder. See, I have this terrible habit of saying yes to projects. I really should say no to stuff more often, but I've never been on Creaky Blinder's show. And he had asked me a while ago, and I'm like, yeah, sure. And I think that was a year ago. And then he came back. I was like, hey. I'm like, hey. He goes, you want to be on my show? And I said, sure. Thank you for that reminder. I am up to my eyeballs in work, and I really, really want a handler really badly. I need a handler because I stay pretty freaking busy. I've got, gosh, that was like 18 days ago when we set that up. So this is like over 2 weeks. Sometimes I feel like I have a goldfish memory, but it's like, I know that's not the truth, the goldfish memory. But this is why I write stuff down, and I didn't write that down. But fortunately, it's still on my Twitter DM, so I can go back and look. I always tell people to lovingly send me a reminder when I'm there. Yes, we are on ScientistMel of our upcoming appointments. Yes. Oh my goodness. That's true. So, so yes, I should be there on the 30th. The 30th, talking about I guess confirmation bias and things like that. You're up to your eyeballs in snow. I'm sorry, Mr. Shadow Kitty. So that's kind of cool. Gonna be on his channel. I didn't put up the event like I needed to earlier this week. This was the first week we were back in person for lecture and lab and all that stuff. And I'm now in charge of our science mentoring program, which I essentially have to build it. And the president of the college has heard about this, and they're super excited because what it is a network of professors in STEM who basically just use their office hours to help tutor students that are not in their own classes. So it's a pretty cool thing. So it's a network of professors willing to see other students besides their own. And it's, it's kind of neat. And I emailed almost 800 students, and I got back a pretty decent response. And I have to get a database together and track their success and There's all of that. Then there's my actual teaching job. And I'm currently working with Columbia on a research project they have where they're doing field work. They're doing field work at our college, and I'm helping them recruit students to participate in their research, in their particular research. So yeah, I'm, and with the uncertainty of academia, there is no guarantee of a job in the fall, even though my boss is exceedingly happy with my work and I love what I do. I'm certain they'll work it out, but man, I tell you, academic paperwork, it's just annoying. It's just annoying. The hoops you got to jump through. Hey, Das Boot. Yeah, so I still have people asking me to do things, and I'm trying really nicely to, I want to help people. It's like I want to help people. And I get so excited when people, ask me for help and stuff. I'm like, I'd love to help you. But then I have to go, okay, I am only one person. I have to sleep sometime. And I didn't exercise at all this week because I was so tired from just my job. And I'm like, I really need to exercise because it's good for my mental health and physical fitness and all that. And yes, Nina's doing all right. She's all right. So yeah, I stay pretty busy. But it's not an unpleasantness is what I'm saying. I really do enjoy my job. I love what I do. It's why I haven't been streaming every weekend. I'm still trying to hit every other weekend because I enjoy this as well. And I learn from this experience too. And I still think it's super important to, have the correct information out there. Yesterday made me tired, though. We're going to talk a bit about yesterday. We are at civil war in America. It's like civil war, but with stupidity. It's pretty bad. I had and I'll talk about this. I'll talk about this in just a minute about what went down yesterday. If you follow me on Twitter, I am so tired of. I'm a scientist. I'm not actively researching, and I'm going to talk a bit about some of my experience because I don't overinflate my Google Scholar search. I'm just saying. I don't overinflate myself. Like some folks do on the internet. I was in the Human Genome Project. I'm going to get into that guy. Yeah, he was like the 89th author on a paper. And he touts that I was a coordinator of the Human Genome Project. I'm like, you're not even a first author, a fifth author, a 10th author, a 20th author. You're not even in the top 20, dude, for that paper. You got lucky. You got lucky. You got hooked on to an amazing project, which is great. But to have that be your go-to and then send me a paper that's trash, I think you got a consolation prize, dude, for real. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Ever notice how everyone you argue with on the internet has 3 advanced degrees in fields relevant to the topic? No. This dude has a PhD, and it looks like he works in, like PCR processing and methods to try to make that more efficient. But he doesn't know anything about messenger RNA. And it's like undergrad cellular biology level of screwing up on this paper. And they were like, nobody will touch this paper. I'm like, because it looks like you didn't go to school except for the one thing that you're good at, which is fine. But still, it's freaking irritating. I was going to get 3 PhDs, but then things got really busy at the Dairy Queen ranch. And I don't hate on people in food service. I worked at Chick-fil-A for 2 years, and that was a miserable experience. And they treat you like trash. They treat you like trash. So it's just let's talk about that. I guess we'll just go ahead and talk about what happened yesterday. Oh god. So this guy, I'm just going to pull up my DMs, guys. I'm just going to do it. Let me pull up my DMs. Cuz I'm going to show receipts. This is the kind of crap I get. You work at Chick-fil-A? I'm sorry, Das Boot. That is the most non-Christian place I have ever worked at. I mean, for real. The most non-Christian place I have ever worked at. Okay, so let's pull up this dude. I had to block these people because they started to get really creepy. Okay. Let me share my screen. Do 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 do. Okay, so people message me. This isn't even all of my messages. I get a lot of, that's not even the requests. That's another section. Okay, so let's look at this. I wish I could pop this out. Hi, Melody. Okay, so this was just random yesterday. Okay, random. Hi, Melody. Can you do a YouTube video helping explain this paper? There's also a video of author and scientist in genomics and a neurobiologist discussing it. Thanks. And I look at it and I'm like, it's a preprint. I prefer looking at the peer-reviewed published article. So that was my response. I'm freaking busy, as I explained earlier. He goes, okay, well, I suppose the paper might go against the theme of your channel. Kevin was on the original team that mapped the human genome, and I feel he asks important questions. You do see that by the nature of the topic of the paper, no major journal will touch it. Better to attack flaws in his scientific reasoning than an appeal to authority. No, by the way, the CDC MMWR you used in one of your videos is not peer-reviewed. Thanks for responding. Take care. I'm like, all right. Well, for the record, the CDC is far more reputable than someone sending me a preprint paper that hasn't been submitted anywhere or has been submitted and denied for various reasons. You haven't told me. If that's the case, I wonder why I should spend my time on that paper. I said, truly, the fact of the matter is that I have a very limited time and I pick my projects accordingly. So what did I do? I was like, you know what? I don't want to leave this guy high and dry. I have experts who follow me. I'm going to post this on Twitter and see if anyone wants to take a stab at this. So that's what I do. I'm like, anybody want to take a stab at this? I've got a guy, and I didn't even say his name. I just linked him to the tweet so he could go and see what other people say. I've got a guy in my DMs who doesn't follow me and is highly critical of CDC research, sending me this paper that no journal will touch. Anyone want to take a stab at this? There are so many flaws in this logic with messenger RNA virus-wise that I can't even. I took a brief look through it. I didn't even spend that much time on it. I took a brief look through it, and it looks like an undergrad genetics, like a higher level undergrad genetics homework assignment. I didn't see anything profound. It was like, this is stuff we already know. There isn't anything new here. I said all they did was look at GC content, which is guanine and cytosine, in RNA sequences of the virus and the vaccines. So they compared. They compared the genetic sequence between the virus and the vaccine. Okay? They imply that the messenger RNA vaccine causes problems for the cell, but they have no evidence of that. They don't show that the difference in that genetic sequence is so, it's just, it doesn't cause any problems. We've given out 10 billion doses of this freaking vaccine, and we don't have any evidence that it's causing this problem. Now, I'll pull up the paper and I'll put it in the chat, and you guys can read it if you want to. But the fact of the matter is, unless you have, and they were trying to say that it was going to trigger cells to be attacked by your own immune system. Well, we see that in people with autoimmune disease. That's what we see. We see it in that. We already know that. That's nothing new. We don't really see that in anybody else. So they imply that the messenger RNA vaccine causes problems for the cell, but they have no evidence for that. Another thing to consider is that messenger RNA falls apart rapidly. Anyone thinking there is a permanent effect from a protein synthesized from a foreign messenger RNA, not cell-derived, in a person with no other health issues like AI disease is being intellectually dishonest. We deal with viral messenger RNA all the time. Optimizing these proteins that are close enough to the shape of the spike protein of the virus, but having no other function than to make said protein is the safest and most efficient way to use the messenger RNA technology. No, the proteins may not be 100% similar, but that is not the goal. Immune response is the goal of the vaccine. These folks need to hush. I said, I see no reputable journal will touch this article because it is at best a homework assignment of using software to find GC content and doesn't provide anything we don't already know. Plus, here's the kicker, guys. One of the authors is being sued for lying. Okay? He quietly had quit his job. We'll just say that. He just parted from, the institutions that he had worked with. And then after he left those institutions, whether he was fired or quit, he was spreading COVID-19 false information about vaccines. So, and then he continued to tell people he still worked there. Hey, B, not just B. So this guy is a co-author on this paper that they sent me. Hey, Dynacat loves me. He's being sued for lying. He was actively going around spreading false information and basically anti-vaxxer stuff. And then he ended up getting fired or quit his job. I don't know. Maybe they were just like, you just better leave or we're going to have to fire you. I don't know. Then he's gone. He's still going out there spreading misinformation and telling people he works for this company or these institutions. He doesn't. So they're suing him. So we have a liar here who's also on a paper. And so here I am trying to explain to people, look, you got a known liar on your paper. Nobody's going to touch this right now. And he's known for spreading misinformation. So cells are neat. This is their wheelhouse. Wow, they are really reaching here. You can point at the vaccine mRNA and go, look, different, therefore bad. You kind of need to actually show that. So let's look at this garbage paper. Did I pull it? Here it is. I'm going to put this in the chat so you guys can have a look. Yes, I saw Sinister Porpoise. You had a question before. Messenger RNA, so how the vaccine works and how it can cause autoimmune disease to kind of, if it's been in remission, because the cells, they go through and they copy the messenger RNA, and they present the proteins, those viral proteins, and that triggers the immune response. So your immune cells go in, since it's kind of attached on the actual cell, if you have a history of autoimmune disease, then your immune cells could, because of the fact that your cells are presenting that protein, it could trigger a relapse of your autoimmune disease. So that's why people with AI are not getting vaccinated, is particularly if they're in remission, because it might make their immune system overreact. You know what I mean? And that's the problem with that. Okay, so this Yahoo. All right. Let's look at this nonsense. First of all, I mean, then they were like going through, then they got mad at me on Twitter, and they're like, I said, "Do you want me to talk about this paper? You want me to talk about this paper? Because I'm gonna rip it apart, because that's what we're gonna do here." I don't think they wanted to do that. And it looks like I can't blow this up. So let's just download it. Can I download it? It won't let me download. Freaking, here it is. Download. Download 2,921. How many of those do you think are anti-vaxxers? So let's look at this junk. Let's look at this junk. All right. All right. So let's go through and show how a terribly sciencey sounding paper can be complete and utter garbage and be used as cannon fodder for anti-vaxxers. Briefly talk about it. It's already out there, and almost 3,000 people have downloaded this trash. But we're going to take this as an educational moment and show you just how stupid people can be. So here's our guy, Peter McCullough. There we go. The known liar. Kevin McKernan. I looked him up. We're going to talk about him in a second. He fluffs his Google Scholar. And then he actually got really creepy on me. He and his other little friends were doing Google internet searches, trying to figure out what my background was. I'm like, all right. Differences in vaccine and SARS-CoV-2 replication-derived messenger RNA, implications for cell biology and future disease. So right away, we got a scare tactic type of title. And you're like, that doesn't sound scary. Well, future disease, implications for future disease. So any anti-vaxxer who understands some sciencey words, they can read some of this and be like, oh, this sounds terribly scientific. But they don't look deeper. He was like, but did you notice that the G quadruplexes are favorable binding sites of RNA proteins like helicases that inevitably affect epigenetic reprogramming of the cell by he provides no data for this. He's just making a statement. He's basically saying that RNases, which are enzymes that can break down messenger RNA, that they're somehow going to tell the difference between foreign RNA and your own, and that they're not going to break down the foreign RNA. Hey, Krabby Hermit. So what they're saying is, importantly, when codon optimization increases the GC content of synthetic messenger RNAs, there can be inevitable enrichment of these particular structures. So what they've done here is they've gone, Well, there's a higher amount of GC content, which is guanine and cytosine content, within these messenger RNA vaccines. Therefore, it's bad because we could have these G quartets and form these quadruplex structures. And then they go on to say, in this study, we performed an RNA fold analysis investigate alterations in secondary structures of the vaccines due to codon optimization. Okay, so all they did was look at the shape of, essentially what the shape of the proteins would be coming out based on the messenger RNA sequence. We already knew it was different. There was nothing new here. We already knew it was different. And it doesn't matter if it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be 100% the same. And let me just take a moment to do this because this makes me nuts. Sorry, wrong thing. Okay. This is where we get into one gene does not do just one thing. Okay. All right. SARS-CoV-2, the genetic code is easily, sequenced. It's easily sequenced. We did it in less than a month. Okay. When the virus came out, they immediately, basically sequenced the virus. Then they figured out from that code which section was associated with its spike protein. So the goal was to make certain that we just make something that's the shape of the. I think I froze. Am I back? I hope I'm back. Okay, I'm back. No idea what happened. I got a alert on my restream going, something happened. Oh, noes. There we go. I frozen. I'm good though. We're going to just let it go. So the goal is to make a protein that looks close enough to the spike protein and initiates an immune response. It does not have to be 100% perfect. It does not, and likely it's not going to be the same genetic code. I mean, and you don't necessarily want that. You want it to just go in, get your cells to make that one protein and nothing else. So if they're able to get your cells through that messenger RNA to make that protein close enough to the viral spike protein and elicit an immune response, that's what you want to go. That's what you want to go with. I'm trying to find a little section here. Okay, so they used open source. So let's go back to sharing the screen. Let's talk about how crap this is really quickly. And then we're going to leave it alone because they don't deserve any more of my time. All righty. I'm not certain, Sinister Porpoise. Possibly. So here's the data. They just look for the GC content distribution. How much is there? It's got all this GC content in it. Yes. So what? We see the changes to the secondary structure. Yeah. Okay. So it's slightly different. It still elicits an immune response that has nothing to do with what you're saying. They're like, look, it's a little different. All right, I get it. I get it. But it still elicits an immune response. You don't necessarily want all this other crap. You don't want your cells necessarily making all this other crap. You want something that's going to make antibodies that attack the protein. All right. So freaking what? We already knew this. We already knew this, you very stable geniuses. This wasn't the goal. This was not the goal. God, it's so hard not to swear on live streaming right now. They make a claim somewhere that your body's just going to make these proteins forever. Oh my gosh. They just, I'm trying to find that little section. Somebody else pointed it out. It was hilarious. Hey, Nether, we're reading a really bad paper. I mean, it's just like, it's like, look, I found these things. Science Doggo can swear for me. Hey, guess what? We found out. It's not exactly the same genetic code in the mRNA vaccine as it is the virus. No, really? No. Okay. So they think the mRNA may hitchhike into a replication form via recombination with the live virus. Okay. That's not going to do anything, really. We'll have chimeric RNAs. Hey, Rick Nelson. Trying to find. And this could cause all kinds of problems in the future. So they basically say we could have this stuff happen, but there's no evidence of it, even though we've had 10 billion doses put out. We could have neurological complications. You know what, guys? I could have ninjas attack my house at any freaking moment. That could happen, And me having Nina here, ever since I got Nina, I haven't had a single ninja attack my house. There have been no pirates. There have been no ninjas. That means that Nina is keeping away the ninjas. I mean, it's like, we don't know. We could have ninjas attack it's like we could have ninjas, actual ninjas, attack us if we have this thing. Retroviral and non-retroviral RNA sequences are abundantly integrated into mammalian DNA. You have to have reverse transcriptase in order for that to happen. You poop spackled fart numpties. Oh my God. You have to have reverse transcriptase for that to become DNA. And you have to have protein transport back into the nucleus. This is what I mean. When somebody sends me crap like this, then they're like, prove me wrong. I'm like, read a textbook. That was my response, and that made them mad. Hey, Tesla. I said, read a textbook. Read a virology textbook. Read an immunology textbook. There's so much wrong here. It doesn't happen this way. None of this happens this way. As an example, the polio RNA sequences are identified with 100% sequence homology. Okay. Associated with cancer burgers. Okay. mRNA viruses mutate. They mutate. You very stable geniuses who wrote this paper that nobody will touch because you look like you're idiots. You don't understand. basic freaking virology. You don't understand basic immunology. And for anybody, I'm not even an expert. Okay, I don't have a post-grad degree in biology. Oh my God. I don't have a post-grad degree in biology. Mine's in chemistry. But I know enough biology because I have undergrad biology, I have undergrad biochem, I have a master's in analytical chemistry and a master's in teaching, and my side hustle science communication. So I read stuff like this all the time. And when I have questions about it, I ask an expert. I had experts get back to me and they're like, this is crap. I won't send this to Doc Savage. I thought about it. Doc Savage would be the person to send this to. But his response would be, why are you wasting my time with this? This is trash. And you know this is trash. I know you know this is trash. He would get mad at me. I don't think he'd get mad at me. He'd be like, I'm not reading that. That's garbage. Because even I can read through this and go, this is trash. I mean, you have enzymes in your cells that take apart RNA. And it doesn't matter if it's viral, if it's dog, if you got bit by a dog and a dog had a virus, or whatever. It doesn't matter. Oh my God. And he's comparing, freaking COVID to polio and herpes. And he's like, look, all of these retroviruses, they do that, but this isn't a retrovirus. It doesn't have reverse transcriptase. This is an RNA virus that doesn't have the ability to change RNA to DNA, doesn't have the transport proteins that require it in order to get up into the nucleus. Oh my God. This is why this is dumb. At some point in time, they talk about how the RNA is just going to make proteins forever, total body accumulation. It's like, what the heck? I mean, this is great. I need to send this paper to Elizabeth Bick and have her look at it. Just like, this is just whatever. Let's look at this. How much spike is too much? Spike protein can be detected circulating on exosome membranes 4 months post-vaccination. Exosomes, okay? Exosomes are not your cells, okay? That's my wheelhouse. My paper is on exosomes. They're not the same. And yeah, you might have, I mean, at best, you're right, Nether, at best, maybe 1 or 2 days. At best. That's if your cells are particularly slow. But it didn't stick around. I mean, it's completely torn down in the cytosol, and it doesn't matter what it is. There's no recognition between foreign RNA and your human RNA. That's why you have an immune system. Ugh. All right. So you can find the spike protein detected. So what? So what? Doesn't mean that your cells are making it forever. What? While some imply this equates to better immunity, it likely comes at the cost of higher spike protein titers, and spike protein is believed to be toxic and potential inhibitor of DNA damage and repair. What? Okay. Again, it's not the exact same spike protein as SARS-CoV-2. It doesn't have all that extra crap on it. It's the minimum possible to elicit an immune response. That's what these numpties don't get, okay? That's what these numpties don't get. Jesus. Now they're talking about toxicity of spike proteins. The very beginning of their paper, They say it's not the same, it's so different, and this could be bad for us. And then they jump to spike proteins are so bad for you. Well, I mean, if it's the original spike protein, possibly, but it's not. The whole point of their paper, they just they just turn it on its ear. Nobody will take our paper. Why do you think that is, you dummies? Why do you think that is? You need to go back to school and take a couple classes because this is stupid. Where is the stupid thing? Boosters, okay. Boosters given more frequently than a year will lead to total body accumulation of the spike protein and further heighten the risk of disease in organs such as the brain, heart, bone marrow, and immune cells and tissues. No, no, they won't. All they did was show that there were differences. Then they said, but spike proteins can be evil and bad for you. Well, if they're the original viral spike proteins, maybe, but you're still reaching a bit there. And you're using all kinds of other viruses, not COVID-19. Secondly, this is synthetic mRNA, messenger RNA, that's made the smallest and least complicated structure possible in order to initiate an immune response. That was the point. You freaking dummies. You guys are stupid and you wasted my time all day yesterday. And then you shamed me for having one publication. Then they shamed me for having one publication. Well, I can't even find her on Google Scholar. Well, because I didn't pad my Google Scholar with with every single conference I've ever been to and presented a poster. I didn't pad my Google Scholar with every single time I've been on a panel for a discussion. I didn't pad my Google Scholar with every single preprint or forum that I've commented on. And I wasn't lucky enough to ride the coattails of another scientist and get my name put on a paper with about 100 other authors. We can't all be lucky like that and have our parents buy us into MIT. So let's look up that dude. I didn't have an MIT budget, and we managed to build from the ground a breast cancer test with no budget. So you go into the lab, you do that for me, and then we can have a conversation because you don't understand the basics of freaking messenger RNA. And you're going to throw in my face that you worked on the Human Genome Project. Do you know how stupid you sound thinking that messenger RNA is like the same level as DNA and that it behaves the exact same way as DNA? And then you write a paper like that, which all you did was compare GC content, which is basically a genetics homework assignment. I don't want, it's just like, don't talk to me. Let's look up this idiot. I went to Emory and then I got hooked up to, here we go. Here's his citations. Let's look up this guy. Ah! All right, let's look up this numpty. Let's take a look at some of these publications. All right, so here we go. He 27,332 citations. Well, let's find Mr. Kevin McKernan, the very stable genius who wrote that article that nobody will touch. Okay, hold on. Oh, wait, here we go. Okay, so he's further up on the top of that. So congratulations, you're author 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Good job, Kevin McKernan. You're author 21 on this paper on a project of about 100 people. All right, let's look at this one. Where is he on here? Oh, there he is. He's toward the bottom on this one. Great. Good job. Follow up on a huge, massive paper. Let's look at, there was one that was like 100. Here we go. Here we go. Let's see if we can find Kevin McKernan. Where is he at? It might take a minute. I still can't find him. Where are you at, Kevin? I don't even think he's on this paper. Where is he? I don't see his name. Okay. Whatever. Can't find him there. Let's look at some of these. So essentially, a lot of these other papers. Hey, Native Atheist. Thank you. Let's have a look at this one. Let's see, where is he at? Oh, there he is towards the bottom. So anytime you see somebody who's on a publication where it's at the very bottom, very, very bottom, they're usually referencing work from another paper. So he didn't do anything on this. He's just being referenced. He's being referenced for work that he likely did on one of those other papers where he was higher up. That happens all the time. So let's have a look here. There's one I want to show you. What is this? Okay. There he is. Right there again. Okay. Good job there, Kevin. Let me find something interesting. Notice he has a lot of patents. Some of them pretty high citation. Now keep in mind, you can patent anything. Here's two. Two with similar, like gel-free bead base versus bead bases. Patents, you can patent anything, and it doesn't matter. Yeah, two et al. You should. You can put a patent up for anything. Here, look at this one. F1000 Research 4. So this is pretty recent. He hasn't had a recent publication in a long time. So F1000 Research, that's not a journal, guys. Let me show you what F1000 Research is. It's a forum. It's a forum. It's not considered a journal. It's not considered a publication. They even say that they're not a journal. FAQs is so their peer review are other people that read it and give you feedback that are on the forum. That's their peer review. This is not a journal. So the majority of his publications are being way down on the list of authors or preprints or this website. They don't even offer copy editing support. The peer review they have is the forum. Yes, all articles are published irrespective of peer review status. Peer review and publication are two independent concepts. Most journals peer review and then publish. We publish, then peer review. So this guy gets published on forums. And he does more patents. Here he is. He shows up on another paper. There's another patent. Another F1000 Research. And normally I don't dig hard on somebody. But the thing that makes me mad about people like this is that they have the world handed to them because they got lucky. They got lucky and got put on a project. And he's good at one thing, and it has to do with DNA processes, processing DNA so it can be mapped. He's good at that. I'll give him that. But it is extremely disturbing. I mean, not a little bit disturbing. It's extremely disturbing that a guy like this, who claims to be an expert in genetics, has no fundamental or basic understanding of messenger RNA. Here he is with this another patent. He does lots, and here's preprints. He does a lot of preprints, a lot of patents. Dreaming of a patent-free human genome for clinical sequencing. What's that about? The case for the perils of gene patents. So this is just not really, this is like an opinion piece. So he has a lot of opinion pieces, very few actual research articles. I have lots of opinions too, Kevin. Patent. I have all these patents. You know, you could have a patent, change a small little thing on it, and then do a brand new one. And then it shows up on Google Scholar. So what Kevin here is teaching us is how to pad your Google Scholar. Here's another preprint. Here's another F1000 research. Here's another preprint. Every once in a while, he gets listed on a paper because somebody else looked at the Human Genome Project and cited that. So he gets put on a paper. That's what I'm talking about. He even does something on Bitcoin in here somewhere. So it's just irritating. Anyway, enough with this douche canoe. And he's like, then he goes through and he doxes me on, he tries to dox me on his Twitter. With one of my articles. Well, this is all I could find. Well, I didn't ride the coattails of another scientist. I didn't get lucky to get on the Human Genome Project. I did work on the Tree of Life as an undergrad. I volunteered in that lab. I also have done computational chemistry research. And oftentimes, if you work in computer-based science, as far as like chemistry, biotech, or whatever, you're going to have lots and lots of publications because you can do stuff pretty quickly. You can get published like 20 times a year if you're a computational chemist. So my assessment, essentially, yeah, I've got one publication. So what? I worked my butt off on that. I had no budget. I was using library resources, including a 3D printer. I 3D printed a breast cancer device at a 3D printer at a library. You freaking go do that. You make brand new tech like this and don't ride the coattails of somebody else and make a test that's better than the current gold standard. Then we'll talk. Show me actual science, actual chemistry, not this I pushed buttons and did buffers kind of crap. And it just makes me mad. And then people will look at his stuff and go, look at all this stuff he did. Some of that stuff is trash. Some of it's just patents that probably didn't go anywhere. Other stuff, he had poster presentations on that list. Panel discussions, he put that on his Google Scholar. All of that is considered publications on his Google Scholar. So it just makes me nuts. And then he has a preprint article like that with everything that's freaking wrong. Nothing, just very little was correct in there. There was nothing profound. There was nothing new. There was nothing not understood in that paper. He didn't come up with anything. He said, look, it's different, therefore bad. No. You're reaching. You made no points, and you even discredited your own point in that stupid paper. No wonder nobody will read it. It's trash. But the thing that makes me mad is people will read that and they will take that as this dude knows something because he's padded his Google Scholar. He's garbage. I mean, great. He was on a project one time, did good work. Awesome job on the Human Genome Project. Mr. 20th author who still gets published because he happened to be lucky and get on that. But my God, people are going to die because of that jerk. They're going to take that crap seriously. And it's trash. That's a trash paper. It's a trash paper. It's a trash paper. And it makes me so mad. Not only that he's holier than thou, and he thinks that because he's done things and his Google Scholar's big, that means he knows stuff. No, honey. No. I read your paper and it's garbage. You got lucky on those other stuff. I don't see anything that's impressive. So screw that guy, right? Screw that guy. Anyway. So yeah, that happened yesterday, so that was a lot of fun. I get crap like that, and people are like, "Oh, give me attention." It's a garbage paper. I'm like, "You want me to go and talk about this? It's garbage." Anyway, let's talk about other things. Cone shells. Krabby's talking about cone shells. All right. Man, I'm trying to catch up on the chat. Big Zebra says, I'm going to change my name to et al. And get on every paper in town. Jeez. This is nuts. All right. Let's talk about, really briefly, that whole freaking Spotify Joe Rogan crap. Okay. I'm not going to spend much time on it. I do want to point out that a Russian tycoon, pretty much pretty much is responsible for funding Spotify, and he's buying his way into Silicon Valley. Yuri Miller. Let me see. Let's have a look. All righty. So Yuri Miller, one of Putin's elite, invested a lot in Spotify. Let's see. It certainly hasn't played at the time. In fact, the more successful Yuri Milner, has become, and the faster has compounded his success, beginning with his night rate investment in Facebook in 2009. And okay, is it Milner? I thought it was Yuri. Yeah, Yuri Milner. So he's invested in Facebook, Zynga, Groupon, Twitter, and Spotify. He's slowly moving his way into, let me see. I posted this. He's one of Putin's elite, I believe. All right. I first met Milner in 2009, a few months after he had a surprise investment of $200 million for a 2% stake in Facebook. Through the mail.ru, he knew the Goldman Sachs guys in Russia. Okay. He was able to do that. I'm trying to find the information on Spotify. Well, I mean, we already knew that he was involved in Facebook, that Russia did, because of his stake. I don't want to read through all this right now. I'm going to let you guys have a look at it later. But he also invested in Spotify. I just kind of wanted to point that out. Um, where does it say? Oh, well. Anyway. All right. So who is Joe Rogan? Some of you guys may not know this, but he was given $100 million deal with Spotify for exclusivity of his podcast. So no, they're not going to get rid of Joe Rogan, despite the fact that he perpetuates misinformation, anti-vax rhetoric, and all of this other garbage. If you didn't already know that, follow the money there. And since, let's see, where did it go? Spotify has dropped in value. Here we go. This is now, if you're not familiar, Neil Young removed all of his catalog from Spotify because of Joe Rogan's podcast. He didn't want him necessarily to be censored, but he's like, look, he's perpetuating misinformation. So Spotify lost more than $2 billion in market value after Neil Young pulled his music over Joe Rogan's podcast. $2 billion. Their stock is dropping. They've plummeted 25% just this month. Yuri Miller. Yes, Rogan is indicative of what's wrong with that. So other artists, though, they're following suit with Neil Young. Come on, man. Joni Mitchell. Not now. Jeez. Joni Mitchell is now pulling all of her music. Well, the thing is given that Russia now finding out that Russia has contributed quite a bit to Spotify and then paid Joe Rogan $100 million for exclusivity of his podcast. Joe Rogan's being allowed to run unfettered with his misinformation. Neil Young's leaving. Joni Mitchell's leaving. I wish other artists would leave. So Neil Young, his album, I think right now, one of his greatest hits or something like that, is number 2 on iTunes right now. So he's not hurting for money, guys. If you're worried about Neil Young, iTunes, they got his back. But there you go. So that's kind of cool that that's happening. I wish more artists would leave Spotify. That would be very, very helpful. Neil Young and Joni Mitchell are leaving Spotify, which is good news, everyone. All right. I just wanted to touch on that for a second. Yesterday still made me so mad. Freaking jerks. Dude bros on the internet. I was in that. You know what? But you don't understand messenger RNA. So what do you want me to say to you? I'm going to have to charge you. Trying to teach you molecular biology and that messenger RNA. Basic freaking undergrad biology. Messenger RNA or cellular biology. Messenger RNA falls apart, you dummies. Makes me so mad. No, it doesn't. That was his response. No, it doesn't. Go read a freaking textbook. And they didn't like that response. People don't like it when I say, where's your source? A textbook. Go read one. I mean, you're just not interested in discourse, not with people who behave, what do you want me to do with this? There are so many things wrong. I think somebody said this was Jordan Peterson. It was a Jordan Peterson thing, right? I'm trying to see. There's a Jordan Peterson. What is that? I can't find it. Somebody sent me that once and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing." And let me see if I can search it on my Twitter. Twitter has now become my search engine for stuff that I found previously. Word salad chef, something like that. I can't find it. Boo. Boo. Uh Yes, here we go. Here we go. I found it. This is it. I found it. Apparently, it was a picture of a tweet, which made it harder. One of the best ways to win arguments is to be so completely wrong that there's no way anyone could feasibly correct you without teaching 3 entry-level college courses in the process. This is known colloquially as a Shapiro. That was yesterday for me. That was yesterday for me. Like, I don't have time to correct. I mean, it took me an hour to go through everything that was wrong with that paper, and I didn't even hit everything, guys. Didn't even hit everything that was wrong with that paper. I mean, I hit the basic science they got wrong, and then I'm like, "Oh my god." So this right here. Thank you, Maddie B. Rad. That's perfect. That is perfect. Right there. That was yesterday for me. All right, let's talk about science and technology. Excuse me, I'm about to sneeze. Ooh, I sneezed. All right. All righty. I've posted a link. Shapiroisms. Let's have a look at this. All right, you may not be able to see this, which is why I posted the link. This is the National Science Foundation Science and Engineering Indicators. This is why I do science communication. I'm gonna pull up this table. I'm gonna download it PDF. I want a PDF. All right. These are correct answers to these questions. It's always table 7-1. That's what's great about it. All right. So what they do, this was in 2018. So they published these results in 2020. They're probably asking people these questions now. But in 2018, we had a sample size of about 1,175 people. They go around and they're asking questions. Note that they haven't updated some of these, like South Korea, Russia, that sort of thing. Well, let's look at the US indicators. So these were questions that they ask. They always ask the same questions. And you can compare with previous years, and it's pretty frustrating and sad. This is the percentage of people who got these answers correctly. The center of the earth is very hot. True. 86%. Good job, America. Overall, I think they kind of got an F because some of these questions, they're just so bad. The continents which we live have been moving their locations for millions of years and will continue to move in the future. 79%. Good job, America. Does the sun go around the earth? Or does the Earth go around the sun? 72% got this right. Last time I saw it was 73%. Time before that, it was around 76%. Now we're at 72%. All radioactivity is man-made. False. So 52% of the population think we make up radioactivity. This one was really, really upsetting. Electrons are smaller than atoms. 46%, guys. 46% electrons are smaller than atoms. That means 54% of our population does not understand basic atomic structure, even though I know for a fact it's taught in middle school. It's also taught in high school. Oh my God. Lasers work by focusing sound waves. False. 56 of the population, percent of the population got this wrong. The universe began with a huge explosion. True. This was really, really kind of frightening. 62% of people do not accept the Big Bang. They don't understand it. They got that one wrong. This one is always really, really interesting. It is the father's gene that decides whether the baby is a boy or a girl. So 41% of our population doesn't understand basic human genetics when it comes to reproduction. Gonna be honest, I'm not entirely surprised. Yeah, so there you go. This one's great. Antibiotics kill viruses as well as bacteria. 50% got that right. Oh my God. No, antibiotics kill bacteria. Now, sometimes they give you antibiotics while you have a viral infection to stop something like pneumonia. They often, that's something they do with people who are COVID positive. They give them antibiotics so they don't get pneumonia, which is caused by bacteria. Croutons. Croutons. Yes, croutons. Human beings as we know them today developed from earlier species of animals. 51% still do not understand evolution. So this is where we're at. Let's see for the table for the US trends. I'm going to download the PDF so we can blow this up. Let's look at the trends. All right, this goes from 92 to 2018. Correct answers to trend questions about scientific facts. All adults. We really hadn't changed that much. In fact, we're getting dumber, guys. We're getting dumber. We got pretty strong right around the beginning of the 2000s. We had a good jump here. But now we're at 62%. We're almost back to 1995, guys. We're really close to 99. More men than women got the answers right. Formal education. So the people who got the answers right, 81% had a graduate or professional degree. Only 41% of those who had less than a high school diploma got the answers right. High school diploma, 60%. That's not surprising. Bachelor's degree, yeah, 73%. Science and mathematics education, low, middle, or high. So if they had very little science or mathematics education, About 54% of those individuals got it right. Middle, 67%, which you would consider, high school education. High, that's going to be more college related. Family income, not surprising. If you're at the top of your family income, you're going to get more answers right than if you're at the bottom. Again, not surprising. Let's see. This is hopeful, though. Let me zoom in a bit. Age range. Young people are getting better. Older people, not so much. But younger people, they're moving up in getting answers right. So that's good, at least. Yeah, that would be a good one. Map the correlation between the drop and privatization of education. That's a good thing. I know they do a lot of studies about that. In the US, they focus a lot on that. Reasoning and understanding the scientific process. So let's have a look at this. I'm gonna download this PDF. Alrighty. 99 to 2018. Understanding of probability. So red is probability, blue is science inquiry. So scientific process, essentially. Experiment is yellow, and scientific study is green. Okay. Understanding of probability. So that seems to be the highest one, and it's almost a straight line. People haven't gotten better with that. It's leveled out. I think that probably has to do with level of education. Yellow is experiment. Well, that's gone up and down, but it's dropping. The trends are dropping. Inquiry overall, scientific inquiry overall. Okay, it's, not that great. And actual scientific study, understanding scientific study in general. Yeah, they don't get it at all. Less than half of the population. Less than half. But when you consider how often they confuse hypothesis with theory, that they don't know what scientific theory is or scientific law is, and they think a theory is a hypothesis, and they think theories should be laws, I'm not surprised by this. We don't cover this enough in the education system. It's pretty striking. International comparisons in pseudoscience. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at their belief in pseudoscience. And they look at astrology for this. Zooming in. So here we go. This is the percent. 6% said it's very scientific. 58% said it's not scientific, so we're getting better there, but still 42% of Americans think it is. Yeah. That's worse, though, than previous years. And they divide it up into gender or sex, actually. Formal education. Let's see. Sort of scientific, not at all scientific, don't know. Again, characteristic. It's weird. And they've got it down to age groups. I really like these particular indicators and these studies because it lets me know what we're dealing with, what we deal with. More Americans today than in the past see astrology as unscientific, although there has been some variation in recent years. In 2018, about 50% of Americans said astrology was not at all scientific, a value near the middle of the historical range and down somewhat from 65% in 2014. So we're still dealing with people who think that this stuff is real, which is a problem. Let's have a look at their conclusions. All right. So the majority of Americans have had positive attitudes for several decades about the benefits of science and scientific community. In 2018, most Americans saw more benefits than harms from science and agreed that science and tech will offer more opportunities for the next generation. And they still strongly support federal funding. Despite favorable attitudes towards science and support for public funding, about half the American public expressed concern in 2018 over the last decade that science and technology may be making life change too fast. This is higher than in recent decades. In addition, public concern is relatively high compared with past years for several environmental and technological issues, including climate change, genetically engineered food, and nuclear energy. There is a strong public support for science and concern about specific science and tech issues. They have moderate interest in science and tech issues, including new scientific discoveries and inventions and technologies, including medical discoveries in the environment. Now, this is 2018, so this is pre-pandemic. I'm curious to how these numbers going to go. We're in 2022. So this was published in 2020. So I look forward to the 2020 numbers that should be coming out soon. So highly educated Americans measured by overall education level, science, mathematics, education, and or familiarity with scientific ideas are more likely to report optimistic views about science and support for scientists. In addition, more highly educated people typically report the most concerns about environmental threats. All that tracks, doesn't it? They do have supplementary materials in their methodology if you want to have a look at that. So we still have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work to do. Yes, that's exactly right, Mr. Shadow Kitty. You can be scientifically literate and not have any formal post-secondary education. Oh, gosh, everything is just weird. I'm just so tired. I'm tired, guys. I had some numpty say that gravity isn't a theory. And I'm going, I can't do this. I cannot do this today. Cannot do this today. Can't do it. Can't do it. Gravity is not a theory, according to some people. In other news, I know you guys heard about mouse being banned in Tennessee. I found a really cool GoFundMe, so I'm going to share this with you. Feel free to. This is the article on it to show you it's legit. Knoxville Comic Book Store is giving students free copies of Mouse, award-winning Holocaust book. So the book was banned in McMinn County. It's a Pulitzer Prize-winning book. So this is what Nirvana Comics is saying. So if you feel like you want to contribute to something and feel like you're doing something to help deal with this garbage, there is a GoFundMe. They're reaching out on social media. So they said all students need to do is ask for a copy by calling them or reaching out on social media. However, they said they had a limited supply of books, so there could be a wait list for anyone interested in reading it. But they do have a GoFundMe. So I'm going to plug this a bit. If you feel like you can, and you're just as frustrated about this as I am, This was created a day ago, and already it's got $48,150 um, for this particular project, and they're hoping to expand. So if you're a student and you would like to reserve your copy, please message us on Facebook or Instagram. So I'm going to push the crap out of this. We're setting aside 10% of the funds to satisfy any tax liabilities. Anything left over will be used to donate other books to school libraries. Um, so please, this is how you do it. This is how you go against fascist type of behavior. I wanted to. I was like, we need to we need to go and get a bunch of books and put it in the library. Well, comics this comic store stepped up and they're like, "Hey, we got you." They tried banning material about the Holocaust and kicked them off the planet. Man, for real. I'm so sick of this crap. And the justification that McMinn County said is it has 8 sweary words in it and there's a nude lady. It's a graphic novel. It's not actual pictures. And if you know anything about teens, because I used to teach them, um, they've seen a lot worse on the internet. And the classroom is the place where you can put it into perspective. You can put it into perspective there. And methinks the McMinn School Board knows that. This isn't about sweary words and a cartoon picture of a nude lady. This is about keeping the truth from kids in a way that's accessible for them to understand and see the world a bit differently. It's an important book. It's an important book because it meets kids where they're out. It's a nude mouse lady. Yeah, because that's ew. I mean, come on. Come on. That was their justification for banning this book. I think they're doing the pearl clutching. Think of the children to actually hide their racism. That's what I think's going on. So good on you, Nirvana Comics. I will be donating to this GoFundMe because I don't have the ordering power they do. But I can say, hey guys, go give them like $10 if you can. So a kid can get their own copy of Mouse for free. A Nucky Mouse. That's right, Seraphim. That's so inappropriate. My dog is naked right now. Shall I ban her? My dog is naked. So is my other dog. Yeah, this is about not letting the kids know what fascists look like. Exactly, Nether. I'm sorry, Nina. You are banned according to McMinn County because you look a bit like a mouse and you're naked right now. How dare animals be naked? Think of the children. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Animals are naked, guys. Man. People are lucky that, since we ended the pandemic, I wear jammy pants all the time. It's really hard. It's really hard to put on like not jammy pants and go to work. Tesla Ranger, yeah. Hey, if Tucker Carlson can be sexually attracted to a green M&M, then mice aren't that surprising. Maybe we should ask Tucker Carlson how he feels about naked mice. I think, not kink shaming there, but if you're upset about a fictional character not having sexy boots anymore, particularly if it's candy, I just think it's kind of silly. Yes, Nether. Not to kink shame, I'm sorry. Seraphim. Nether is German. And you don't hide your past. Unfortunately, the people in the US, they don't like critical race theory because white people get very uncomfortable when you talk about things that their ancestors did. I'm going, "No, let's talk about that." Heck, I got family members right now that are jerks and I don't talk to them because they're racist, you know, racist numpties. And I'm like, "I don't wanna talk to you. You're racist and you're sexist, and I don't like you." I mean, come on. They don't wanna listen, and I'm sorry, but their feelings don't matter on this. They need to learn from the past, put on their big boy and big girl pants, and, come on, man. Just suck it up. Suck it up. We as white people gotta suck up our past, suck it up and learn and say, "Hey, it's time for us to listen," and understand that a lot of the organizations that we have right now were built by white supremacists, so they have inherent bias built in to the very processes that we use. Now, that doesn't mean the people who are around right now are jerks. Yes, they have been doing you're right, Nether, particularly in the US. Doesn't mean that I'm a jerk because I benefit from the current system. I'd be a jerk if I say it didn't existed and that people don't benefit. So I'm a jerk if I say, "Oh, none of that stuff is real." Yes, yes, it's freaking real. I hear s I've got some kind of weird sound going on. Crap. Okay. This was weird. I had an ad just randomly pop up on one of my articles, and I just heard the sound, and I'm just like, "What?" Sorry. I closed it out now. But there we go. Um, yeah, I mean, we need to learn and grow from our mistakes. Yeah, Republicans, the GOP have caused a lot of issues, particularly with voter suppression. We had the Voters Act that they didn't renew right before the election with Clinton and Trump. So they shut down a huge amount, um, a huge amount of satellite voting places, particularly in communities of Black and Brown people. And so they extended the hours. So yeah, I mean, they're trying really hard to suppress the vote, and it's affecting Black and brown neighborhoods. They're making them drive hours to go and vote, trying to get them to not vote. Um, I mean, this is stuff that's happening, and it's frightening and it's scary. And I'm not gonna sit here and say, "Oh, this hurts my feelings," that, we have to address the horrors that have happened to Black people. It just my feelings don't matter on that. That's why we have that thing where I say it's white fragility. You know what? Let me pull that up. This was from Oral Audacity. Let's pull up our white fragility commercial. Let me see. You too can watch this. Uh, it's a fake commercial. Oh, sorry, wrong thing. ScientistMel fake commercial. Um, here we go. You might appreciate this, guys. We're gonna pull this up. And so here is the link for it. Um, we're just gonna poke a little fun at the racists and the critical race theory. people who get their feelings hurt. James Lindsay, who still has me blocked on Twitter. It's funny. So let's have a look at this. Are you upset by seeing people discussing things that hurt them? Are you worried people will treat you the way you have treated them? Are you afraid of people who don't look like you and what they might do if they gain equality? Oh, well, fear not, there is hope. You just might have a case of white fragility. I know it's frightening and scary, but you know what? It's okay. I am here to help. I am from the law offices of Butt, Hurt, and Wine. We dedicate our services to filing lawsuits for damages associated with white fragility. Our team of lawyers will work through our totally not frivolous lawsuits that are persistent on wasting time and resources so we can validate your bias and this cognitive dissonance you are currently experiencing. It can be quite painful, but we understand your social struggle to deal with oppressive history associated with whiteness. So stop worrying. Don't think about it anymore. Call us at Butt, Hurt, and Wine so we can confirm your bias and help you feel validated. Call 555-WINE today. So that was once upon a time ago when I did the show with Doc Savage. Butt, Hurt, and Wine. Hey, Jesse. How you doing? So you too. Oh my goodness. I don't know, Mr. Shadow Kitty, why Shel Silverstein's Light in the Attic was banned. I have that book. So yeah, that was with Oral Das. That was a few years ago. Those shows are still up if you want to go back and have a look at some of the stuff I've done with Doc Savage. And if you're ever curious, you can search on YouTube, fake commercial or ScientistMel fake commercial, and you can find a whole bunch of things like that. And yes, I did the voice of all the characters, in case you know that's what makes it kind of funny, because they all sound almost the same. You will not believe the filth they have our children reading between active shooter drills. Oh my gosh, Tesla Ranger. You're not even kidding. And we had a process. At one of the high schools I taught at, I actually had a lab there, a lab closet. And so I would just shove everybody in the lab closet, because then that was an additional door for the shooter to try to get through. And they were all solid metal. Oh my goodness. The population with the least education wants to control everyone's kids, what they learn in school. I know, Tesla. It's crazy. It's crazy. But that's where we're at. So I'm gonna wrap this up. Let me get. Oh, hey, by the way, if you didn't know, there's me, teenager me. I think I was. Look at that hair. Look at that hair.